Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of Odd Man Rush. My panelists today, Brian Rokos and Nolan Morosky, dressed
Hi.
characteristically amazing.
It's a little wrinkly.
Somebody's gonna do it.
It's a nice salmon
It's
color.
a new shirt. Same.
Yeah. And Rokos, don't you usually wear a jersey?
I don't know.
Just gave up today? Had enough?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't even realize.
So next week we're going to need a new panelist. Look for a job posting on Indeed.
Someone that has lots of
Somebody who can
jerseys.
wear a jersey and has some mild opinions. Or unmild opinions if you want to be more like Rogos.
Mhm.
So anyways, today we're going to start off with the Detroit Red Wings. And I actually added on here the LA Kings as well. The Detroit Red Wings have started 1-5-2, and the LA Kings have started 2-5-1. Now LA barely made the playoffs last year, and then they ended up getting swept in the first round by Vegas. These two were powerhouses of the last 10 years. Is it tank time for these guys? Are we just looking at LA and Red Wings first, second, third overall picks coming up in the near future?
Not LA.
Not LA, Detroit for sure.
Detroit is in full on lose
Yeah.
for Hughes.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
They're-
Lose for Hughes.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that?
No, it's
Full
all
on.
over the place.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to take credit because it's so catchy, but no, I did not.
They're full on tankers.
No, Detroit's going to be bottom 5
Yeah.
easily. Probably realistically last in the East.
Larkin and Nyquist only have 7 points each. I think Toronto has probably 3 or 4 defensemen that have more than that.
Mhm.
So,
Apart
Um,
from those 2 or 3 good players, they're awful.
so how long is it going to take before Detroit, if Detroit, let's say Detroit and finishes dead last, for some reason Arizona doesn't, and they pick up Hughes, as we think is going to be the first overall.
Will be.
How long is this rebuild going to take before they're back in playoff contention?
If they do what I think they're gonna do this year, at the deadline, I think they're gonna let Nyquist go, they're gonna let Vanek go, and they're gonna let Cronwell go. All have 1 year left.
Vanek, Cronwell, I agree with, but why would you not re-sign Nyquist?
If you can get something back for him, why not trade him? And he's probably gonna want to win.
Is he
Do you
UFA?
think he's gonna be?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think he's gonna want to stay a loser for the next 3 years, 4 years?
But then if he's looking at he's in dead last and he's going to get to play with a guy like Hughes, maybe he believes in the system over there.
Maybe.
Would you try and re-sign him if you were the GM?
Well, yeah, a guy like that you would want to try, but I mean, if he doesn't want to play there,
It depends on how much he's asking for.
yeah.
You know, is he going to
That's true,
go
too.
stupid and try to ask for 6-7 million a year?
Yeah.
for
Do you think
putting up
6
50
million is
years?
stupid for Nyquist? Really?
Yeah.
What would you ballpark him as?
I'd put him in the 4 to 5.
4.5.
Pull up his stats from last year.
40 to 50 points in that range.
Okay.
He's a 4 or 5 million guy. He's like a Tyler Bozak type of player.
Really?
I think so.
I
Younger.
thought you had a bit of a higher ceiling than that.
He's not going to get any better than he is now.
No.
But I also see them possibly trying to trade Howard if they can.
Howard, too. I had
If
him on my list.
any team has any goaltending issues, injuries, then I can see them going after him.
Because they got Bernier.
Who would take him though?
It depends on injuries. If there's a actual playoff team or someone that's battling, and then their number one gets hurt, or they don't have a good backup, absolutely.
And they're looking for depth.
They're not going to get much for Howard. Let's
So do
be
you think they'll
realistic.
be very active at the deadline then?
They should be.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
They absolutely should be.
I don't know if anybody would take Cronwall, even for a playoff run.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big
Right.
body.
Yeah, but he's going to slow you down.
Third pairing guy.
Yeah.
It's all about speed in today's NHL.
I'd be fine on a third pair.
I guess it depends on who you're projected to
Again,
play.
how much are they really going to get for him? But
Yeah, not really much.
picks.
Couple
it's-
of picks.
You get some quantity over quality, and
Nyquist is their
you
guy.
can package your lower picks for a higher pick. There's so many options with picks.
Nyquist, I agree with, would be a very, very good pickup
They'll get a good
at the
return.
deadline.
Vanek will get them almost nothing,
Mhm.
but he always gets traded at the deadline.
He always is.
So
He's like,
I
he's like
think
the
Detroit.
Campbellberry.
I think the way it's gone the last few years, where teams have gone from either last or when they pick their top overall pick, they have a quick bounce back. Toronto did it, New Jersey did it, and I think whoever gets Hughes, if that team has some other decent players around him, they could do something similar.
Detroit's got a couple of young prospects. coming.
They've got some good players. They've got Larkin, Mantha, Athanasiou, great player, super fast. Tyler Bertuzzi.
Can't finish.
Tyler Bertuzzi's off to a great start. He looks actually really good. They got Rasmussen, Zadina. They've got some good young talent.
So you think it won't be long before they're back?
Depends on the
I give it.
depends on the draft.
Well,
Yeah.
Detroit's also been known for having a system where they overdevelop their players. I don't
Yeah.
think that system necessarily went away just because Babcock left.
Which is why Zadina's not
Yeah, exactly.
on the team this year, I
Yeah.
think. Rasmussen.
You think he was
No.
good enough? We did see
No,
him a little bit
probably
in the
not,
preseason.
You didn't make the team?
Rasmussen?
No.
Zadina? No.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, I did.
No.
So-
Not a Detroit fan.
But you don't feel like LA's is warranted. I think that'll even out over the long time.
I think they're going to be one of those middle of the pack teams like
Yeah.
they have been for the last how many years?
Those
Just
squeak.
4 or
maybe
5
make
years.
it, maybe not.
Those squeak.
Yeah, that's they're underachieving right now, but it's still so early.
Mhm.
I wouldn't worry about
Is the
LA.
Kovalchuk
29
experiment
games,
working?
17 games.
not yet. It's off to a bad start. What do you
Yeah,
have?
like-
1 goal?
2 goals, 3 assists
No.
in 7 games or something. So it's not too bad.
No.
I mean, it's not anything you would be disappointed with.
It's early.
His play looked fairly okay the other day when I was watching him.
It
But
looked invisible.
at least he
but
could keep up. I
Yeah,
was worried
no,
about that.
it's-
Like, spent a lot of
He's
years
always
in
been a
KHL.
good skater, though. So
Typically, do you guys think like when guys go to the KHL, if they're a really good player and then they go to the KHL and then they come back to the NHL, do you think it affects their game at the NHL level because they're playing against maybe slightly softer competition over there
It's also a different game.
because of bigger ice?
Bigger ice, yeah.
how many times have players that have been in the KHL for a long time come to the NHL and actually been dominant?
Well, we'd never dominant, but we
Never a good player.
usually sometimes we see young guys start in the KHL
Mhm.
and then
Then
they
come
get
over.
there, when they're 24, 25, and they're usually pretty
And they're good role players.
But they have a hard time
At best.
adjusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the stars aren't going to come. They're making millions.
They're all
over there.
stars in the KHL. They come here, they're third, fourth liners.
Hmm.
There's a huge difference between
Yeah.
the leagues. But
Well, this is actually going to lead into kind of what we're going to talk about next. Obviously, all of the hot buzz news around Leafs Nation is Nylander.
stupid Michael Nylander.
Yeah. William, you need a new dad.
Leafs GM went over to
I
Switzerland.
will adopt you.
Kyle Dubas went over to Switzerland the other day, not too long ago, and had a meeting with their camp. Do you think this is a good sign, bad sign, as far as signing him goes?
I think it was just for reassurance. Because he's scared he's going to get traded.
So you think you went over there to reassure him that he's not going to get traded,
Yeah.
even if he doesn't sign a contract by November? Because if he doesn't
December.
sign by November or December,
December 1st.
then his season
he
is
can't play.
done.
He
Yeah.
can't play.
So
I was reading an article on it, and they're saying that the long-term deal is pretty much off the
Yeah.
table now. That's not happening because they're so far apart.
they're
So
looking
now they
for a
have to
bridge.
work on either a bridge deal. If they can't get that done by probably November, then you're looking at shopping them.
Do you think if a bridge deal is a good idea for the Maple Leafs?
It's better than him
Yeah.
not playing, and
But-
them getting nothing for him.
If he only
Yeah.
takes 2 years, then
He'll still be
you
an
might have to pay
RFA.
him way more.
Yes, or you trade him. It's a very tradable contract. If you
Well,
don't sign him to the long-term deal that they can afford, which they clearly aren't going to be able to, then
The bridge deal would have to fall shy of him, like, because he can't have a no trade clause at this point.
No.
So.
Nice.
he'll still be an RFA, but he'll have arbitration rights.
Mhm.
But the Leafs still have all the power if they sign a bridge deal. So I have no problem with
They can and they will.
it.
That's what Dubas said, but it might not happen. So I asked you guys, anyways, if they don't, let's say that they don't sign him, and Dubas says, "Well, I need to move this player because maybe he's not being cooperative, or maybe they're not just seeing eye to eye on where they want the team to go." I asked you guys to come up with a couple of trades that would make sense for the Leafs. I think you came up with 2 each, you guys said. So
Mhm.
we'll go one at a time. We'll start with Nolan and then Brian.
Okay. First one. I said last night that you guys might be a little angry with my trades. But
Oh.
First one, I don't know. You let me know if I'm being a little greedy, but I had
Yes.
Toronto trading Nylander to Anaheim for Brandon Montour, right-handed shot. He's got 3.3, 2 years left. 2019 second, and 2020 second conditional. Turns into a first if Nylander signs long-term and amasses 50-plus points in the first year.
That's interesting. Thoughts on that, Brian?
You really went into the condition, eh?
Yeah.
50 points. He should
Yeah.
have that.
He
All of
will
his-
definitely have that if he's playing.
He's never played without Matthews, really. The few times he's tried to have his own line, it didn't really look good at all.
Hmm.
So can he control a line? Can he dominate a line?
Well, and I think that's what they're talking about with the whole contract situation is, are you that good?
Yeah. Or do you just
So,
rode Matthews'
Brian,
coattails?
you're Anaheim's GM, and this gets pitched to you. Just Nylander alone for all three of those pieces. You reject or do you accept trade?
I reject.
On the grounds?
I just think 2 seconds, potentially at first. I think that's too steep. How old is Montour?
He's 22.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a young guy.
I can see them if it's one of their older guys or.
What if we threw Jake Gardner in there?
Now you're thinking on my lines.
Anaheim might be sweet to Jake Gardner too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because they lost that trade in the beginning. But
Brian, what was your first idea for a trade?
all right, to Carolina.
I knew it was going to be Carolina.
Yeah, I had to go with the obvious one first.
Yeah,
Nylander and Gardner.
that's two big pieces.
Package them to Carolina.
120 points from last year. You're
Returning to Toronto, Brett Pesce,
Okay,
right shot defenseman, 23 years old.
is he good though?
Yeah, he's the good two-way defenseman. He's what they need. That
Okay.
type of defenseman. They don't need another Jake Gardner. They don't need another Morgan Riley.
Yeah.
They need someone that can skate and plays defense.
Okay.
Cliff Poo,
Ooh.
mostly because it's Cliff Poo. But no, he's a good, solid right wing prospect. Another right wing to add to their pipeline. And I threw in a 2020 third round pick. It's Buffalo's pick.
Third.
Yeah.
Just for sweetener, because Carolina.
They had
don't
two.
want it?
They had 2 third round picks in 2020.
I don't
so
think
they're
you're
not
asking
really-
for enough, personally.
Yeah, I would reject that one.
You would?
Yeah.
You would know. You're Carolina's GM.
Yeah.
You were going to reject that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't reject that.
Gardner.
I would.
Gardner's expiring. They're going to get nothing for him if they don't trade him. They're not re-signing him, so they're going to lose another JVR. Plus, Gardner costs them more than he helps them. Because I hate that man. So you're trading Nylander for
What was
Pesce.
it again?
Brett
Pesci Poo, and a
third
pick.
round pick. Pesci Poo.
Pesci Poo and a pick for
See,
for
when I
Gardner
started
and
doing this,
Nylander.
I
What
didn't
if
want to
that
be biased to
2020
the Leafs because every Leaf fan does this. Where they're thinking of these dream trades that everyone always, they're going to get this. They think Gardner's going to get McDavid. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah.
You got to be realistic here.
I would accept the trade as Carolina's GM on the condition that I was able to talk to both of their camps for at least a week to see if they have interest in playing there. Because if they say right off the bat, no, I don't want to play there. I'm just going to give you much a hard
Clearly,
time.
Nylander just wants money. He doesn't care about winning.
No.
Yeah.
Carolina looks pretty good. They've got a good young core.
They could
They've
make the
got
playoffs with those
a
two
ton of
pieces.
cap space.
Yeah.
They've got all the cap space. They can pay him his $8 million. They're always a bottom cap
Well, the
team.
thing is, though, they could just wait for Gardner in free agency.
They could, but is Gardner going to want to sign with them?
If they could throw millions of dollars at him.
They can do that now, and now they can talk to him. Again, Gardner was more of a throw-in
What
Yeah.
if you made that
because
2020
his value
second?
is pretty low. If you wanted to counter with that, although if I'm the Leafs, if I'm Dubas and I offer you that, you should be happy in your mind.
Okay.
What's your second one, Nolan?
Second one, I had Toronto trading William Nylander and Tyler Ennis to Nashville for Matthias Ekholm and Kevin Fiala.
Wow.
See, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about.
I'm gonna hit
Leaf
the
fans
reject button
overvaluing.
This was just the
Leaf
second one I
player.
threw in there. It wasn't my actual trade.
Yeah.
There's no way Nashville would ever do that.
Yeah, they're not going to take Ennis, anyways. But
I just thought I'd throw it out there and see you guys' reaction.
It's too much. I think.
Ekholm it's a yeah. That's a really serviceable contract too. They got Ekholm on.
That's why they like.
3.75.
Just
Why would they
beauty.
trade him?
Yeah, maybe if you had
Like you have to give up a lot to get something good. Obviously.
Nylander and Gardner in there, maybe Nashville would try it because they'd be more likely to sign in a market like
Mhm.
Nashville for long term. But I don't know what their cap situation
Like
is
I
like if
said.
they can even afford that.
This trade was for reaction purposes.
Why didn't you just say Nylander for Doughty straight up? Straight up.
I think both Nylander and Gardner would like playing in markets like that. I really do.
Oh yeah, anybody
They're
wants
gonna get paid.
You're gonna want to play in Nashville.
Mhm.
Especially someone like Gardner, who just gets chewed apart by Leaf Nation, for good reason, in my
Oh.
opinion.
What was your second one, Brian?
All right, I made a deal with Vegas.
Ooh,
Yeah.
fire sale Vegas.
Again, same thing. I really want to get rid of Gardner, so Nylander and Gardner. Very similar style of trade. They got Colin Miller back from Vegas again.
You
right
wanted
shot.
him a long time
I
ago.
did. I said
Yeah.
that
I
when
remember that.
Vegas first picked him in the
Yep,
draft.
yep.
I said we got to get Colin Miller. He's their top pairing guy now, playing 23 minutes a night. Right shot, 25 years old. Again, good two-way defenseman. I threw in Nicholas Hague,
Mm,
19-year-old, 6'6", left shot defenseman.
another Gauthier.
Played in what? Defenseman.
Whatever.
But he went in the second round, and I just think that's a good prospect to throw in, and a fifth-round pick.
Fifth.
Montreal's fifth, because Hague is a good pick, good
Yeah.
prospect.
Again, I feel like you're not asking for enough, but I
I
would
went the
would
other
accept
way.
that trade as well.
I went the other way.
Yeah, and in Vegas especially, I would accept that trade.
I think I don't know.
Would you take it, Nolan? Do.
Yeah, I would take that one.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Dubas. We have a little bit of suggestions for you. Okay, so in case you start shopping around.
I like
We
Nick.
obviously know a little bit more about hockey than you, at least 3 to
Clearly.
1. So, those are some suggestions for you. So that being said, I think that one of the reasons that the Leafs are in this situation is because of the cap situation. Dubas has to keep this price low, and to be able to sign Matthews and Marner next year. So I have to admit, as a fan of the game, I do long sometimes for the time before the cap, when we were able to see teams load up on any stars that they could afford to pay, and then even better when teams that couldn't afford to pay stars and they were good drafters and they picked up good young guys and they could scout well, even though they had lower payrolls, they could still beat some of those all-star teams. Do you think that the cap system has made the NHL better, or do you think that the hockey was more exciting before the cap?
It's way better.
Way better.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to hear some way.
The only reason
Please
is
explain.
because as a fan, I hated those days because it was the same teams spending all the money. You get a free agent, you're like, oh, the Rangers are going to sign him. Like,
Mhm.
it wasn't fun. It wasn't exciting.
Yeah, but the Rangers never won. Only the 1 year.
Look at the teams that spent all the money
They never win.
and never won.
They never won.
But I didn't like it. I look at how many teams
Look at the
got
trades that you-
relocated though, because they were lower budget teams. They couldn't afford to get the big players.
Mhm.
They struggled to sell seats.
But now
And-
we can't get rid of teams like Arizona.
No.
I was just using like Canadian teams that we lost because of the Quebec, the Winnipegs,
Yeah,
but that it was a big factor.
sure it was. I know, but that's what I mean though. Don't you think that not having the cap gave GMs more freedom to build their team the way they wanted to?
Like, look at all the blockbuster trades that happened before the cap.
It was a different era for a lot of different reasons though. The cap.
You're not going to see.
It's made it a lot harder to trade. Absolutely.
You're not going to see 11-player deals
No,
anymore.
which is fine.
Not only that,
The
but
hockey's better.
like scouting mattered so much more back then too.
Mhm.
Like you guys,
Yep.
you got Bure getting taken 6th, 7th round. Zetterberg,
Zetterberg.
Datsuk, all those guys were taken late rounds.
Lundqvist.
It still happens today. You still have to build for the draft. That's how you
It's
win.
a lot rarer.
That's how you win, though.
So you don't think like
It's even more of a case to build through the draft because there's no big blockbusters. You can't rely on free agency to
Yeah.
build your team. So you have to draft well.
we're kind of going back to the dynasty age too. Like so when teams started spending heavily and there was big trades and stuff like that throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, we didn't you didn't see as many like dynasty teams as you do now. And you go back to like Edmonton Oilers winning 4 cups in a row, Islanders winning 4 cups, Montreal in the 70s. You know what I mean? Now you got your Chicago, your LA of the last few years, Pittsburgh. These guys, they're never going to trade those top guys. You're never going to, and I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. It's tough as a fan. Like if I'm sitting in, Calgary, or wherever, and I see that my management team isn't drafting properly, or Edmonton, for example, is another good example. They're just not drafting right unless it's a no-brainer like McDavid. I'm never going to get a chance for a new guy to walk in there and do like a 5-man deal or 10-guy deal like Fletcher did in Toronto. Say like I need my team better now. What can I do?
Yeah.
You
gotta go for the role guys. Those are the trades.
You kind of have to wait a lot longer. Toronto has had to wait forever.
Moneyball.
It's but look at all those teams that have been the dynasties of the last since the salary cap era. All their strong players, the reasons why they've done so well, is players they've drafted.
Sure. Yeah, I get
think
that.
I like that.
But now
That's
you
the way
can't.
it should be.
But you can't compete with them now.
You just have to do the same thing. Look how fast Toronto has done it.
So you can. Sure. Yeah. But
It's
it
a
hasn't
rare-
been that fast. It's been 5
Well-
years, 6 years maybe.
If you count drafting Nylander.
You got to count Nylander, Kadri, and them. Like
No, not Kadri.
since they changed their mind about how they were drafting, they stopped drafting.
You got to start when
Safe
Shanahan
players.
took over. That's when it started.
Sure. So what was that
4 years.
2014? Yeah.
4 years.
So now, if I'm a fan in 2014, I'm like, my team might be able to compete with Chicago in 5 years. Like it takes a long time.
It's fun to watch them build. Those aren't real fans.
I haven't really heard much from you on this, Nolan. Do you prefer the cap system or you prefer the non-cap system?
I like the cap system.
Why?
No limits, which means Nylander's situation does not happen, ever, unless he wants to go somewhere else. It's player friendly.
The cap system.
I personally like. No, cap. No.
Non-cap.
Not non-cap.
You said cap. You misspoke.
Oh, yeah, okay, whatever.
Oh, so you're not a fan of
No,
cap?
I'm not a fan.
You said you were.
No,
He misspoke. That's fine.
I'm a fan of not having the cap. Okay. There's more trades. I love seeing blockbuster trades.
The arms are out.
I'm gonna throw 3 simple letters at you, and my one and only argument why the cap needs to be in place. MLB. The only professional major sport that doesn't actually have a cap. And it's terrible. Same teams year
They
in and year out.
do technically have a salary cap, but
Oh, the rich teams have to pay luxury tax?
luxury tax.
Ooh.
But you,
That's no
but you did just bring up
that's no
Moneyball,
deterrent to them at all.
right?
Has
So,
Oakland won? And how often are they in the playoffs?
close enough.
They almost did.
Close enough.
When
It's
they started
it's not
doing that.
horseshoe and hand grenades. You gotta win or nothing. It's the Yankees, it's the Red Sox, it's the Dodgers. It's
Yeah, but the Red Sox had the
Braves.
biggest payroll ever for the longest time and
Yeah.
couldn't win for 100 years.
And they did though, but they were always there.
I don't
Always
think the cap makes as much of a difference as you think it
there.
does.
It absolutely does.
Mhm.
It really does. I've had one idea for the cap that I would like to see, and I've heard about it before being talked about. They need to have a franchise player exemption, where each team can
Like
label
football?
one player. Yeah, they have I think more than one though. They have like 3 or something.
They can do. I think it's. Yeah, three.
Yeah, I think so. So you can label one player your franchise player, and he either doesn't. There's got to be a lot of tweaks to it and everything, but either he doesn't count to the cap, or only a certain percentage of his cap, so that he can. You don't have to
Interesting.
worry about, where McDavid.
I never heard about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've heard it talked
Franchise
about
tag.
before.
Hmm.
So they have, so if McDavid, they wouldn't have to worry about paying him what he's actually worth. Because you got to figure these true superstars, they're not getting paid enough in comparison to the other players in the league. What they bring to the team and what they do for their teams,
So basically, you can say that you can pay him more than Max or something.
you could pay him
Whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So McDavid could be making 20 mil.
Although it is kind of ridiculous when you think like if someone's
Obviously
gonna
not that
pay.
much.
Yeah, but that's how basketball is, right?
But
These
again,
guys are
you
making
would be able
hundreds
to
of millions
build
a year or whatever.
Those amazing players are now being asked to take discounts
Yeah.
because of how good they are.
Yeah.
They're not getting paid what they're actually truly worth in comparison to the other players. So you take that option away from them where they get paid what they're worth and they don't have to worry about trumping the team and saying, oh, now we can't win because you spent all our money on you.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Edmonton. They
Yeah.
spent all their money on Draisaitl and McDavid.
So it takes the greed out of the players, your top
Exactly.
talent.
It helps. It gets
Yeah,
rid of
that's
that
not a bad
one
idea.
little issue that's been coming up.
That's not a
So
bad
the
idea
Leafs
at all.
could say, hey, here you go, here's $15 million, Matthews.
And then it doesn't.
Now we just have to worry about signing Marner
Yep.
and Nylander, I guess.
Interesting.
But that's an idea I had.
Let the players be a little greedy if you're the best.
They're the best players on the team. They've earned that.
That's true. Okay, so leave us a comment anyways. Let us know if you like the cap, you don't like the cap. Maybe we'll address a couple questions next week.
If you like my idea.
Vote Rokos or vote Nolan? I'm
Don't
pretty on
vote
the fence.
Rokos. His ego's already up here. He doesn't need to go.
I was just trying to play devil's advocate. I'm pretty on the fence with it. But anyways, last topic of the night. The NHL said that they are open and willing to move forward with hiring female referees. Do you think that this is a good idea or a bad idea, in considering how hockey is?
On my sheet, in capital letters, I have it's 2018. Why the hell not?
I'll play devil's advocate.
Tread lightly, okay? We don't want to
Yeah.
alienate 50%
No, no,
of the
no.
audience.
I think it's great on one condition. If they're the most qualified person for the job.
I
Well,
think
If there's 20 male refs that are better, faster, have a better resume than this one woman ref, then why is she getting the job over them? Just because she's a woman. If she's earned it and she's the best, the next best ref prospect, I don't know if they have prospects, I don't know how it works exactly, they work their way up, I know, in the leagues.
It's kind of hard to gauge,
there's
though.
tiers.
I mean, if you can pass it's the basic skill test that you need.
She'd start in, obviously, what, CHL?
She would start junior.
So you think it should be a
Junior A.
work a way up process?
Exactly.
Well, it
I
is
think that's how they
already-
do it,
is
right?
already, yeah.
So that's how the refs work their way to the NHL.
Mhm.
So if she starts in the CHL, I think they get graded. Every refs, they have some kind
Mhm.
of grading system, I believe. I've seen it somewhere. But yeah, if she works her way up,
'Cause I know
and she works her way up to the AHL or whatever, that's
in baseball they have a grading system because only the umpires that have a good track record through the whole season are the ones that umpire in the
go in
playoffs.
the playoffs.
Right. So
What about the
Maybe
factor
baseball
of
umpires.
injuries? So like sometimes refs are in the, you got a 6'6" guy who's about to start scrapping with a 6'5" guy, and they have to do their thing where they come in and break up the fight if they can first before it happens. Are you worried about maybe them getting hurt more often than regular referees?
I don't know.
they'll just be refs.
Look at it. Players, whenever a player has a ref grab them, for the most part they stop.
Linesman.
Linesman, ref, whatever. Stripes.
Or they get like a 105-mile-an-hour slap shot to the side of the head?
That's
Comes with the
completely up to
territory.
them.
Yeah, it comes
I'm
with
You
the
can
just
just
saying.
say the same thing.
What are you standing there for?
Their sex has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Well, there is something there to that.
I don't think so.
This is the reason why you don't have co-ed NHL.
Well, there's obviously a big difference in skill level and abilities.
I take Spooner over half my team if I was
Natalie
any
Spooner?
NHL
Yes.
GM.
Have you seen her play against men?
That's what I
Especially
mean.
in a league like the NHL?
But that's what I mean. So wouldn't the same thing apply on the referee side of things?
They have to be able to skate well, which
Most of them do.
they're all great skaters. That's not a big factor. It's more their mental part of the game. They have to be able to judge the game. They have to be able to say, well, that's a penalty, that's not a penalty. They have to be able to, in the right spots. It's hockey IQ.
When we
It's more of
see-
a mental game for refs
Yeah.
than it is physical. They
No, I
obviously have
agree
to be
with
able
that.
to skate, they
Yeah.
have to be in shape.
Mm-hmm.
But
agree with
I don't
that.
think that's a big factor.
I agree with that. And you watch sort of international hockey at the women's level, and I don't really see much any more bad or good calls than in any NHL game either.
No.
I'm just wondering how it will
I think if there's the right people for it and they're ready for the spot, absolutely. There's no
Sure.
reason why not. Like Nolan said, it's 2018. It's almost 2019.
time to break down the walls.
Thank God.
But hockey used to be the best at that, though. Like Manon Rayon.
Yeah.
She was the
Yeah.
first woman in any major sport.
Did she ever get into a game?
Preseason.
Preseason, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
that age.
preseason with Tampa.
I remember that. I watched a documentary about that. Not too long ago.
Wickenheiser was the first
She
player
played
to play
in Europe, right?
outside other than goalies,
Yeah.
playing
She played in
in
Europe.
pro leagues. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and then since that happened, hasn't been really anything. Where you look at NFL and NBA both have female officials now,
Mhm.
so they've kind of passed the NHL as far as whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
quality, and
Yeah, they've.
so
Yeah, so the NHL's kind of fallen behind the curve here.
a little bit. So I can see them kind of rushing someone that may not be ready. I don't know, but that's my one. That would be my one concern.
They're gonna have to have balls though. That's for sure.
And-
Not literally.
I think we can all agree that refs are all blind anyways.
Yes.
On that note, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think. Should lady referees be allowed in the league? Also, if you have a great Nylander trade that you can think of, leave a comment. We'll address it next week on the show. That concludes our show for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back to see you guys again next week.
Good night.
Bye.